The Ordinary is now owned by Estee Lauder, and other brands are also underneath that umbrella, with a majority stake being owned by Estee Lauder. What exactly is going on? What does this all mean? And then at the end, what does this mean for you? Let's discuss. So the news headlines in beauty have been saying things like this. Exclusive. In largest deal yet, Estee Lauder to acquire Deciem at $2.2 billion valuation. Essentially, Deciem is the company that owns The Ordinary, NIOD, and many other brands. And Estee Lauder, who has been known for their cosmetics, for their makeup and perfume, has now purchased them and will own a larger amount of their company. And to understand things like value chain, pricing in the market, and how Estee Lauder wants to kind of jump into these blue ocean opportunities, we have to talk about the business of beauty and how these things are structured. You see, just the way a parent can have a child, a parent company can have many brands underneath it. You might know Estee Lauder for their makeup, but they're actually one of the main conglomerates that owns many brands underneath them. Smashbox, La Mer, Aveda, Bobbi Brown, MAC Cosmetics, they are all owned by Estee Lauder. And although they are their own brand with their own practices, their own marketing, their own branding, and their own teams, they are technically underneath this large parent company. Some of the other large conglomerates are brands like L'Oreal, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, and Johnson & Johnson. Most of the brands that we know and love, if they are not indie, belong to one of these parent companies. And these parent companies want to survive, right? Often they are looking at the market, and when they see a brand that is up and coming, they make an offer to buy it, and they actually kind of take it underneath their wing. Now, in the case of NYX Cosmetics and L'Oreal, that could work out perfectly. Even though L'Oreal is not cruelty-free, NYX Cosmetics is. They were able to keep their own identity, their own branding, their cruelty-free status, and all of the things they believed in. They are just now part of a larger company, so they have access to new marketing, to distribution and supply chains, and to more research and development, which allows them to create formulas. But specifically when it comes to The Ordinary and Estee Lauder, there is a lot of criticism here. And for someone who, like myself, loves the brand, what does this mean for us? Should we stop using the brand? Are prices going to go up? Is it going to stop being cruelty-free? Are the formulas going to get better? Are they going to get more expensive or less expensive? While I am not a fortune teller, let's talk about what this acquisition potentially means and how to navigate it for yourself. To start, I actually posted a poll on YouTube and I asked beautiful butterflies, how do you feel about this? Most of you said that as long as the products don't change, they don't care, but there are a fair amount of people who love Estee Lauder and others who say, no, it's time for a boycott. A lot of people didn't understand what was going on, which is very valid. Which is why we're doing this video right here, because your acne big sis wants to help you understand not just the cosmetics you put on your face, but the business behind the beauty, what consumerism has to do with it, and how you can be a more conscious consumer by putting your money where your morals are. So let's get back to doing just that. When a brand is purchased by a parent company, there can be pros and cons. Some of the pros are that this brand, now being part of a larger family, has the opportunity to have more access to research and development. They can create new formulas. They have more access to supply chains, meaning it's easier to get raw materials, it's easier to create things, and it could be less expensive. This also means that they have a larger network of people to reach out to. You ever see brands at Sephora that are doing like events or special marketing campaigns together? Oftentimes that is all created internally by some of these parent companies. It's kind of like the parent company throwing a birthday party for 3 of their children all at once. But on the opposite side, there are some negative potentials as well. For instance, many of the Estee Lauder brands are sold in China and therefore are required to do animal testing. Is Estee Lauder thinking of putting The Ordinary in China? And if so, will they have to go through regulatory animal testing and no longer be cruelty-free? Estee Lauder does a lot in research and development, and they are known to be more of a luxury brand. Are they going to allow this brand to continue to be mass market, or are they going to jack up the prices? Or are they going to come out with new formulas, some that are much more expensive and some that are less expensive? And right now we have NIOD, which is kind of The Ordinary's big bougie luxury big sister who knows what she's talking about and isn't afraid to spend money on it. Are they going to keep those identities separate or try to merge them? Again, a lot of people said that as long as the formulas don't change, they're happy. But arguably, there are some formulas that The Ordinary has that I think could use a change. And will we see that with Estee Lauder kind of being the parent company or not? Basically, will The Ordinary remain autonomous, or are they now going to be kissing the feet of Big Mama and Big Daddy up on top? Or Big Mama and Big Mama? Or Big Papa or Big Papa? Or, you know, just 2 non-binary parents come together to have little skincare babies all over the world. We don't discriminate over here, but that brings us to Estee Lauder's discrimination, which is a problem. You see, they have been in the news for some things that are not so favorable, and for this reason, many people want to boycott. Especially, look at our poll. There's a fair amount of people here that want to boycott, and let's talk about that. Any large company is going to have problems. The bigger you get, the more employees you hire, the more decisions you have to make, the more likely you are to mess up, and Estee Lauder has done its fair share of that. Some of the most recent and pressing news that has always been there, but that has come to light over the past year, is racial disparity and discrepancies in how many people of color have been employed at Estee Lauder. They've made public statements about this, and they have kind of put out protocols or SOPs on how they're going to change, but the question is that change actually happening, and is it being done in the right way? The other thing that a lot of people don't like are the politics of Estee Lauder, especially when a smaller percentage of The Ordinary was owned by Estee Lauder. There was a lot of concern about Estee Lauder, some of the CEOs, and their political decisions. Forbes.com said that Leonard Lauder, Ron Lauder's brother and the chairman at Estee Lauder, has donated more than $100,000 to Trump and campaigns. And a lot of people didn't want to support The Ordinary because some of the higher ups at Estee Lauder were supporting that campaign financially. This is where I think it's important to remember two things. The first is that The Ordinary is not the only brand that is owned by Estee Lauder. And if you're going to boycott one brand, you should boycott all of the brands that are owned by that parent company. And the second is that whether you agree or disagree with those political views, someone's political choices are just that. They are a choice. That act to vote or donate is valid. If I donated to a nonprofit for ending animal cruelty, which I do, that is my choice. But if someone doesn't like that politically because they are carnivores and meat eaters, you can see where they would be upset. But should that stop me from making that donation? No. That carnivore person on the meat diet could choose to boycott and not watch all of my videos, and that is perfectly valid as well. But then they should also boycott all of my other social media pages, such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and therefore they should also boycott all other cruelty-free or vegan YouTubers. And if YouTube was making donations, or if the large company that hosts all of us is making donations to this charity, then they should boycott the entire YouTube platform. You see what I'm saying? Now, that doesn't stop people from being upset, and people were so upset with the donations that were made by someone who was so high up at the company. Business Insider reports that Estee Lauder workers called for the family heir and board member to actually be removed, based on their financial support for Trump and the Trump campaign. This is also where it gets difficult because, a parent can have different viewpoints than their children, right? And just because they're part of the same family doesn't mean that they have the same beliefs, values, morals, or the way they act. Simultaneously, if you are supporting the child, are you therefore supporting that parent? Do you feel okay with that? That is a choice that is up to you. But also, this parent has other children, so by supporting any of them, you are supporting that larger company. How do you feel about that? That is your choice as a consumer, but you should know about that and know about all of the different brands that Estee Lauder owns so that you can choose to do that accordingly. And it's very easy for myself and others to look at politics emotionally without thinking about the business side of things. It's not as easy as red or blue. There is some space in between, and when you try to look objectively and just take emotion out of it, someone might be making choices that go against morals, values, and emotions based on financial decisions or based on environmental decisions. And thank God I am not the person that makes these laws. Thank God I am not those people that have to make those choices, because inevitably when you are a part of a company that big, or when you are working on such a large scale and making laws for others or decisions for others, you are bound to F up. And the question is, how bad? How do you fix it? And do you fix it at all, whether it's morally or ethically right or incorrect, or financially or economically right or incorrect? Those are really hard questions that I'm happy I don't have to answer. So what does all of this mean for you as a consumer? I think first and foremost, the fact is that you are now more educated and more well prepared to make a decision than when you started this video. You hopefully have some new information, and by the way, if that info was valuable, hit the like button. But this also means that you have some tough decisions to make. One decision that is not tough but really easy is making sure that you're subscribed. Easy peasy, pumpkin squeezy. But some of the really difficult ones are, how do you feel about Estee Lauder or any other parent company purchasing these brands? Do you see it as them adopting a little beauty baby and helping give them access to new resources, supply chains, etc.? Or do you see them as buying out competition and trying to squander the indie side of skincare? We have to watch and wait, but if The Ordinary starts selling in China under Estee Lauder's direction, will you still purchase them if they are not cruelty-free? If The Ordinary starts raising their prices, are the formulas still that valuable to you? And if the formulas completely change, will those formulas be better or worse? And will you continue to support them based on whether or not you like them and your face accepts and absorbs them? And I hope this also gets you thinking about how which brands underneath these parent companies support reports back to them through numbers, data, and finances, and helps these larger companies decide where they are or are not putting their resources. That's why I currently support cruelty-free brands that are under some of these larger companies. Even if the parent company is not cruelty-free, my hope is that if they see that their cruelty-free baby brands are doing better, that they're going to put more money and research into finding alternatives for animal testing. Is that me living in whimsical candy cane la la land with lipstick and toners? Maybe. But that is what I currently know being translated into my consumer actions. And if things don't change, will your decisions? I even got a message from someone who I was in contact with at the Abnormal Beauty Company who told me that Deciem was being purchased by Estee Lauder. And although that change was happening, he was saying that nothing else there is changing and I would still be his point of contact for problems because, oh boy, have I yelled at them about a couple things. I'm hoping that his words are true. This is one of my favorite brands because of how affordable, inexpensive, accessible they are. And I really think that The Ordinary started two conversations. One about understanding our ingredients and getting curious about them, being more skincare nerds. And the second, kind of overdoing it with our skincare and having to learn how these things work together. I do think competition in the marketplace is a good thing. Right now, the only direct competitor of The Ordinary that I know of would be the Inkey List. That scares me because we don't want a monopoly. When someone has a monopoly on something, they can control pretty much everything. So I'm hoping there will be more competition in the marketplace so that there are checks and balances, because at the end of the day, that protects us as the consumers. We have options based on what we do or don't want to support. And I do love the Inkey List, and especially after this acquisition, based on my personal morals and values, their stuff becomes more and more alluring the more and more I learn about it and use it every single day. But simultaneously, The Ordinary is one of my favorites, and if the formulas don't change, and if the cruelty-free status doesn't change, will my purchasing habits change? I don't know yet, and I'll have to wait to find out. Post a comment with how you feel. Always remember to be beYoutiful, both inside and out, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. And did you know that we are doing live stream question and answers with dermatologists every single week on Instagram? If you want to come say hi, here's the time and date. And we're also working on some special projects in our Acne Warrior Facebook group. It is private and by invite only, but if you want to be included, we would love to share your story. You can check out the details right there. You are welcome. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.